Hi, this is Mike Cuddy, and I'm here to talk to you about my latest project. And this one is focused on the Iraq War and an Iraq War study. And I'll just kind of show I served in Iraq, as I say here, from August of 2006 into March of 2007. I've done other projects that focus on war, specifically earlier this summer, a few months ago, doing one on the Vietnam War. So this project is a little bit simpler. It's not as vast as the Vietnam War, but of course, I got the data from Kaggle, and I talk about that right here. So basically, this is the project, and I'll kind of go through it real fast. Deaths by year by group. So this is coalition deaths by year, Iraqi forces, civilian deaths, enemy deaths by year. Uh, Here's deaths by command region, and this starts in 2005. So you can see that the western region where Fallujah was and Ramadi and Baghdad were some of the deadliest places to be. Then, of course, right south of there. And if I come down here and change the year to 2006, here's the same data just in a bar graph. If I do that, it's going to get the response. And when the response comes back, it'll tell us. And there's a response. And you also see the numbers changing up here. I've never actually done anything like this before. Is put numbers on a map, I should say an image. And it was something that I think it turned out fairly well. And of course, it's responsive as well for the most part. The whole page is responsive, as we can see. And you can see how the numbers still essentially line up in the regions that they're supposed to be. So that's here. Now, I will say that this project, I didn't really plan it out. I knew I wanted to have some graphs in it, but I never planned it out to how the graphs would look. And so I ended up with essentially two dashboards. So this one up here, and this looks at coalition forces killed Iraqi forces, civilian and enemy KIA. And uh, you can change it up here just to coalition forces, and just like the previous one, it says getting a response. And then that's just coalition forces looking at that, so you can see when the deadliest times were 2005 and 2007. And then down here I have this graph, which essentially is the same thing, except this graph allows you to look at the event type, like how did the deaths occur. So that's I should have put this part up in this chart up here. And like I said, I didn't really plan this out, so I actually built this chart, then went on to build this chart, not realizing that I have this thing, I can just add it up there, and I could have modified it. So that's just for criminal events. That looks kind of interesting. Usually just one or two for coalition forces. But anyways, so yeah, I did a lot of code duplication, and this project was not designed to be like that. If we look at the vuex file right here, this is something else that I've done differently. Is I put actually all the data for the 2005, the first year, preset it as the state. So as soon as the page loads, the data is all there instead of going and loading and taking probably 5 to 10 seconds to load all that data. So that was I've never done this in any of my projects. I actually like that because it loads nicer. You don't have to wait for anything. So uh, that was something that I did differently on this project. But if you kind of look down here, I actually have some of these. I've removed a lot of the old code that I didn't need using the life cycle hooks, like right here. Well, mounted, I had this whole area right here, and I'm just keeping this for basically learning materials. But this down here, I was originally using when the page was loading, that initial load, and then I didn't need it because I preloaded all that data. Now, if we go and look at the about page, this is just basically the same page that I've used on many of my other projects. Nothing really that special here. But yeah, this is basically just a simple project of the Iraq War. It allows you to kind of get a feel of the numbers of the war and how many deaths occurred in it. Uh, so I think that's everything for this project.